Hallo, herzlichst willkommen zurück. Wir müssen immer noch eine ganze Menge machen. Ich habe eben gerade, weil ich mir noch mal ein bisschen was angeguckt habe, weil ich jetzt bestimmt eine Woche nicht aufgenommen habe, habe ich jetzt hier noch mal das Notizbuch aufgemacht. Und mit einer dezenten Mitteilung kriegen wir hier noch mal unser Notizbuch geöffnet und wir können uns hier noch mal durchlesen, was denn hier so abgeht. Ich habe unter Hinweise, hier, unter Berichte habe ich gefunden, diese Sachen hier gefunden und habe mir die alle nochmal durchgelesen. Und wenn man die anklickt, bekommt man hier diese Locations. Diese Location, diese Location und diese. Und diese glaube ich auch. Das sind die Orte, wo der Mensch gearbeitet hat. Ich weiß jetzt gar nicht, ob wir hier im Dialog schon durch waren.
Hello again.
Probably.
Okay. Hat sich alles durch. Wir gucken uns doch mal einmal um, ja? Und dann geht's gleich wieder los.
They look expensive, but I bet.
Nee, ich überspringe mal ein bisschen was. Okay, komm. Hier wollen wir eh nicht weiter rumrennen. Und wir rufen uns in Erinnerung, Samuel ist noch immer der gesuchte Mann an den Docks. Den müssen wir finden oder auch nicht. Die Docks sind, glaube ich, hier in Chomley. Das ist ja der Fluss hier, der River. Wahrscheinlich sind hier so die Docks, würde ich behaupten. Vielleicht auch hier. Aber eher hier. Man sieht diese Anlegestellen hier. Hier soll die Brücke gebaut werden. Ich muss mir immer wieder ins Gedächtnis rufen, wie ich das bei dem einen vergeigt habe, bei dem einen Case, dass ich nicht mehr in die Opiumhöhle kam. Deswegen jetzt Konzentration. Wir arbeiten uns mal, sag ich mal, von rechts nach links durch. Oh nein. No. No. Okay. Das muss ich in jedem Fall schneiden. Wie mache ich das? So, da bin ich zurück. Es ist, glaube ich, immer noch richtig nervig. Ich habe es jetzt ein bisschen angepasst. Und ich werde das in der Nachbearbeitung, werde ich das ganz leise machen. Da müssen wir jetzt mit leben. Ich versuche das mal so hinzudrehen, dass vielleicht die Sprache ein bisschen lauter ist, dass wir das trotzdem noch hören können, was die Leute hier zu erzählen haben.
Good evening.
Oh, it's you again.
Oh, ist das nervig.
Small world.
Indeed. Mr. Shaw, was it?
That's right. So, what brings you around to the cab depot?
I wanted to...
Ich muss es kurz abbringen. Boah, es macht mich kirre. Kann ich den Sound komplett ausstellen? Leider nicht. Okay. So nervig.
Hello again.
So. Oh, sorry, das macht mich wirklich kirre. Das ist im Hintergrund. Ich hoffe, ich kann das so leise machen. Das ist ja unglaublich schlecht.
Did you know Reggie Willingham?
Reggie? Sure, I knew him. Well, just as rather I didn't.
Oh? Why do you say that?
The man was a bore, a scoundrel, a no-good bounder.
I wish he would tell us how he really felt.
Only reason they kept him on here was because he was a good driver.
Das war das eine Opfer, was hier gearbeitet hat.
So, it's fair to say you didn't like him?
Nobody did. When I heard he'd been killed, wasn't exactly a surprise.
Mhm.
If I treated people the way he did, I'd surely have a lot of enemies.
Could you elaborate a bit on Mr. Willingham's behavior?
Also es ist ja der Justice Killer, der ihn umgebracht hat. Und wenn man sich das nochmal durch den Kopf gehen lässt, dann kann ich mir natürlich vorstellen, dass der vielleicht in seiner eigenen verschrobenen Welt für Gerechtigkeit gesorgt hat. Vielleicht war dieser Reggie wirklich auch vielleicht ein Gewalttäter oder sowas. Mal gucken.
Oh, he was a proud one. Thought he was God's gift to mankind.
Das sind die Besten.
Always strutting around, bragging about how many gratuities he'd earned or how many fist fights he'd won against drivers from Phillips. He had the shortest fuse I've ever seen, too. Just looking at him the wrong way could set him off. I'd always laugh to myself when he'd brag about how many women he'd had in a week.
Oh Gott, das zeugt von einem sehr geringen Selbstwertgefühl.
Why is that?
Because it was obvious he had to pay for the pleasure. A man like that isn't going to get a woman otherwise. I may not be a hit with the ladies, but even I know that being a bastard is a surefire way to drive 'em off.
Hm. True, wird ja immer gerne das Gegenteilige sozusagen behauptet, aber ich glaube, im Grunde ist es tatsächlich genauso.
Are you familiar with the so-called justice killer?
I've heard a few rumors here and there about some murders in the chum, but I haven't paid 'em much attention. There's plenty for me to worry about in my own life.
Aren't you concerned for your safety?
Not really. I haven't done anything wrong. So if this loony's going around doing justice, it's nothing for me to worry about.
He makes a good point. I think we need to get a better idea of what exactly these victims did to incur the wrath of our killer.
Ja, Bill, das hat natürlich Sherlock Rick schon eben vor gut 3 Minuten trotz des unglaublich schlecht abgemischten Hammerschlages hier in der Bude gemerkt. Und genau das müssen wir rauskriegen, ja.
What can you tell me about Coulson Cabs?
Not a bad place, really. Only problem is the number of people always coming here for work. Lots of folks think driving a cab is an easy job that anyone can do, but that's not the case. You need to know this city like the back of your hand, and it helps to know how to drive.
Das finde ich bei Taxis auch wirklich krass. So in der Zeit von Navis, ja, okay, keine Frage. Aber ohne damals irgendwo in die hinterletzte Straße im Dorf zu navigieren, ist schon krass.
So we get lots of fellas starting here who don't have the slightest clue what they're doing. They don't.
What about the automated cabs? Are those a problem for you?
Oh, das gibt's auch hier schon in dieser Alternativwelt.
I prefer not to think about those. Coulson has said he's got no plans to replace his fleet, so it's all that matters to me.
Are you still living in Pumblechook Place?
I am, sir. Things are more or less the same, except Roger's not around anymore. Suppose he must have moved on. Hope he isn't planning on coming back, 'cause his paintings made for great kindling.
Oh, I have a feeling he won't be. I appreciate...
Okay. Jetzt geht's wieder los. Schnell.
I thought...
Okay, haben wir hier noch was? Schnell, schnell, schnell.
Well, that's...
Nein, nichts. Ciao. Oh mein Gott, ist das schlecht. Also wirklich. So, kloppt hier auch jemand irgendwo drauf rum?
You there! What are you doing?
Das ist auch wieder sehr laut.
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm trying to find out about...
No time for that now. Get in here and shield your eyes.
I beg your pardon?
Just do it.
What's going on exactly?
Shh. Everything ready, Alex? 3, 2, 1, go! Amazing! It works! It works!
What works?
Etheric lamps! Our experiment was a success!
What exactly have we wandered into here,
Das weiß ich auch gerade nicht. Was ich weiß. Nee, ist nicht anpassbar.
May I ask you a few questions?
Of course.
No. Ist das hier im Hintergrund immer noch? Oh, es ist so, dieses Game macht so Spaß, aber diese Kleinigkeiten sind so fürchterlich. Ich werde in dieser Folge so viel schneiden müssen. Oh.
You worked with a man named Burley Cause, is that right?
Yes, I heard he was killed. Such a senseless tragedy. It's a shame he missed out on our demonstration. He was really interested in etheric technology.
Wasn't he concerned about losing his job to these technological advances?
He had no reason to. It's been made clear to all the workers that there will always be a place for us, even if our jobs are made obsolete. Unlike some other places, we take care of our own here at the Lamplight Depot.
How noble. But I'm pretty sure he's full of more hot air than the HMS Lenore.
Okay,
Is there anything you know about Mr. Cause's personal life that might be relevant?
I know he was married, but I don't believe he had any children. Oh, and he used to talk about his love for fishing.
Could you give me his home address? Perhaps his wife will be willing to speak with me.
Yes, certainly. He lived at 820 Orchard Avenue, apartment 2A.
Thank you for the information.
Gerne. So.
Do you know any details about Mr. Cause's murder?
Unfortunately, I don't. The police were here asking questions, but they didn't give me many details.
Do you know of anyone who might have wanted him dead?
Not at all. Burley was very friendly, always treated everyone around here with respect.
Okay.
You know, it's sad to think that for all our leaps forward, we're still really just a bunch of savages.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
I've read about it in the newspaper. A horrible business. It makes me wish we could install more street lamps to keep this city safer at night. Someday, I hope to realize that dream. Then we'll really deserve to be called Lamplight City.
You think brighter streets will stop serial murderers?
It's well known that crime rates are lower in Lyon and Worcester, and they have many more street lamps per square mile.
I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the amount of wealth in those areas. Has to be all about the lighting.
You mentioned something about etheric lamps?
Yes! Weren't you paying attention to our demonstration? You have just witnessed history!
What I witnessed was a blinding flash of light.
Exactly! That flash was the result of years of painstaking research and experimentation. It means that not only does ethericity exist, but it can be used as a source of illumination. If these experiments continue to be successful, as I suspect they will, we'll have etheric street lamps before the end of the decade. Imagine lamps that burn twice as bright, 4 times as long. Oh, this will change everything.
And if it's like anything else we've seen, it'll put a lot of people out of work, too.
Na gut, das ist doch die ultimative Vorstellung der Technik, oder? Also für mich ist Technik immer der Weg dahin zu einem Status, in dem uns Maschinen einfach alle Arbeit inklusive der Selbstwartung abnehmen, sodass wir praktisch, ich sag jetzt mal übertrieben gesagt, am Strand liegen können und nichts machen können, und die Maschinen alles um uns herum tun. Das ist doch der Weg der Technik, was passieren soll. Natürlich fallen da zwischendurch diese Sachen runter, aber ich glaube, dass das ja das ultimative Ziel sein sollte.
What is it you do here exactly?
Oh, several things. This is the main hub of the city's Department of Illumination. It's really just a grandiose way of saying that this is where all affairs related to street lamps and public lighting are taken care of. But, in addition to sending out lamplighters or mechanics to repair damaged lamps, we also do research into new methods of illumination. That's what my personal specialization is. I help develop and test more efficient ways of lighting our streets. I guess you could consider me a modern-day Prometheus. Yes.
Ja, der ist ja sehr bescheiden.
More like an everyday pretentious.
Also, ja. Prometheus, der den Menschen das Wissen und das Feuer gab, also das Wissen um das Feuer, glaube ich. War das nicht so? Ja,
Thank you.
Happy.
so. Schön laut, macht Spaß, seltsames
I
Gerät.
wouldn't get too...
Jo, schnell alles angucken,
Is the button too...
damit wir raus können. Wegen dieser Lautstärke hier. Es ist so schlecht, das Spiel macht so Spaß. Und mit so einer Kleinigkeit verschießen sie sich das so. Also Wahnsinn. So, wir gehen zu Burley. Hoffen, dass nicht auch hier irgendwo eine unglaublich heftige Lautstärkequelle ist. 2a und 2b. Da kriege ich ja Baphomets Fluch-Vibes. Müssen wir vielleicht von dem 2b darüber?
And I thought the housekeeping in my apartment was bad.
Ja, könnte man meinen. Bei mir ist gut. In der Bude. Ich gucke jetzt mal hier.
The number is a bit faded. Is this 2B or is it not 2B? That's the question.
Super, Bill. Kommen wir hier rein? Komm.
Yeah? May I help you, young man?
Hello, madam. My name is Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator. I have some questions about your neighbor.
You mean my former neighbor?
Mhm.
Yes, in any case, I'd appreciate it if you could help me with some information.
Nah, I don't think so. The last person to ask me about him was that awful policeman. I don't want to have to go through that again.
I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but I can assure you I won't give you a hard time.
Well, that's easy for you to say, but actions speak louder than words.
Uh-oh. I think I know where this is going.
Ich nicht. Check's grad wirklich nicht.
Is there anything I can do for you then?
Ach, wir sollen was tun für sie.
Well, since you asked, my layabout husband is out wasting our retirement fund with his drinking. Go find him and bring him back here. Then maybe we can talk.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
You'll find him at the Silent Raven. It's not too far from here.
Yes, I...
Good. My husband's name is Kurt Williamson. You tell him his wife Ethel wants him home at once.
Ethel.
I'll do my best, Mrs. Williamson.
Okay, Ethel. Jetzt können wir mich nochmal hier klopfen. Hier wird keiner aufmachen, oder?
There doesn't seem to be anyone at home.
Na, das ist ja genau das Ding. So, Karte. Und wir müssen... Gott, haben wir hier viel zu tun. Erstmal... Ich will erstmal das hier abschließen. Diesen kleinen Plot hier. Schnell rein. So. So, Kurt. Jetzt aber mal Butter bei die Fische.
Excuse me, are you Kurt Williamson?
That's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
Oh, yeah? What is it you want from me?
Ethel sent me to tell you she wants you to come home right away.
I should have known. I can't get away for more than a few hours before she's put the entire city on high alert. How much of my retirement fund did she waste on getting you to come down here?
I'm only doing this because I need some information.
The joke's on you, then. You can just go back and tell her I'll come home when I'm damn well ready.
Why is it you're so averse to returning home?
I enjoy going out and having a good time. Is that so wrong?
Your wife told me she doesn't like you spending your money on drink.
What I spend my money on is none of her business, and even less of yours. What's this world coming to when a man can't even drink in peace without all his affairs shouted from the rooftops?
You know, this whole situation seems awfully familiar.
Listen, Mr. Williamson, I think I know what you're going through.
Oh, yeah?
My wife and I were having a rough patch. I wasn't being honest with her, and it nearly drove us apart.
But you managed to fix things.
Yes, I was fortunate. I did the right thing before it was too late.
Auch das wäre wahrscheinlich eine andere Dialogoption. Vielleicht sogar könnten wir hier nicht weiterkommen, wenn wir das nicht richtig gemacht hätten. Schöne Rätselkette.
And what did you do?
Ich habe die Wahrheit gesagt. Ich habe ehrlich und offen mit ihr gesprochen. Das ist besser. Wenn wir das hier machen, ist nicht gut.
It was simple. I just communicated honestly and openly with her. I told her what was wrong and how I was feeling. And you know what? She listened. Have you ever told Ethel why you like going out?
No. I assumed she wouldn't understand. I really wish she would come out with me, but I know she'd never agree.
Hast du mal gefragt?
How do you know? Have you actually talked to her about this?
Haha, guck mal hier. Psycho.
Well, no.
Ja, merkst du selbst?
Well, then maybe you should. If she knew you wanted company, she might just give it a try.
You know, I never thought of it like that. I'm going to go home right now and tell her. And if she refuses, well, at least I asked, right?
Korrekt. Genau, da kann man sich das nicht vorwerfen, nicht alles getan zu haben.
That's the spirit.
Thanks for the advice, friend. I really do appreciate it.
Not bad. I have to say, I'm impressed.
So, wieder raus, wieder los. Und ab nach 2a. Und auch hier probieren wir erstmal wieder zu klingeln, zu klopfen, zu treten. Dong, dong, dong.
There doesn't seem to be anyone at home.
Auch das Klopfen ist leider nicht an die normalen Soundeinstellungen gekoppelt.
Ah, Mr. Fordham, thank you so much for getting Kurt back home.
Don't mention it. Now, would you be willing to answer some questions?
Well, yes, of course.
Hallo Ethel.
How long have you been living here?
Well, Kurt and I moved in shortly after we were married, so it's been about 34 years.
Goodness, that's a long time to be living in one place.
Yes, well, the building may be a bit run down, and it gets colder than cold in the winter, but the rent has always been cheap. You can't really ask for much more than that.
Tell me what you know about Burley Cause.
He and his wife hadn't been living next door very long, maybe 4 months or so. But I didn't talk to either of them very much. They weren't interested in being neighborly, I guess. It's a shame, really. Maybe if we had known one another better, something like this could have been prevented.
What happened on the day Mr. Cause was killed?
I was here, at home, doing my knitting as usual. All of a sudden, I heard a loud bang. It sounded like a gunshot.
War's wahrscheinlich auch.
I went and knocked on Mrs. Cause's door, but there was no answer. I did notice a smell, though, like flowers. Something seemed wrong, so I decided to report the incident to the police. Not long after that, an officer showed up and started asking questions.
Einer der beiden Idioten-Officer wahrscheinlich, nehme ich mal an.
Awful man he was, so rude. I gotta report him, but I forgot his name. I think it started with a P.
Ja, guck mal. Das ist doch das, wo wir ihn hingeschickt haben. Genau das ist es. Sehr schön.
Parsons?
Yes, that's him. He called for some more officers and they got into the apartment. That's when I found out Mr. Cause had been murdered.
Where is Mrs. Cause now?
I don't know, with her mother maybe. That's usually how it goes.
You wouldn't happen to know where that is, would you?
Afraid not, but there is one other thing.
Yes?
Don't say I told you this, but, well, I used to hear the two of them through my wall. I tried ignoring it since it's really none of my business, but it became impossible.
Na?
What was it you heard?
I don't believe they had a happy marriage. They'd have awful fights a couple times a week.
Hat sie geschlagen?
What would they fight about?
Oh, all sorts of things. The worst one was when she discovered he was going to a brothel. I think he might have hit her on a few occasions, too, but I can't be certain.
Es war ja damals traurigerweise ziemliche Realität, ne, dass der Typ einfach häufiger mal die Hand erhoben hat gegen seine Partnerin. Nicht ganz fürchterlich, sowas. Also ganz, ganz fürchterlich. Und das finde ich auch fürchterlich, dass mein Handy jetzt hier einfach so klingelt. Ich hoffe, man hat es nicht gehört, bin mir nicht ganz sicher. Ja, Lirum Larum. Guck mal weiter. Ich glaube, deswegen könnte das der Grund sein, warum er der Justice Killer sie umgebracht hat.
I hope you don't think me a horrible old gossip, but I thought you might like to know.
Ja, tatsächlich ist das eine Sache, die uns
Not at
interessiert.
all. I'm glad you told me.
Das ist der Hinweis.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
You mean the serial killer who's been killing men in Chumley?
That's the one.
Nah, never heard of him.
Okay.
What?
I'm just pulling your leg,
Oh,
Mr.
God.
Ford.
I like this one. She's got spirit.
Ja.
Unfortunately, I only know what I've read in the Gazette, but it's scary to think some maniac is loose on the streets doing such terrible things. And with Kurt going out by himself for hours at a time, oh, I don't like it one bit.
I appreciate your time, Mrs. Williamson.
Have a good day, Mr.
Ja, haben wir eine Menge erfahren. Wo müssen wir als nächstes hin? Das ist auch abgehakt. Hier müssen wir wohl noch was tun. Die Eisenhütte. Gehen wir mal dahin. Cooler Hintergrund. Vorarbeiter einfach explodiert, ne? Ah, ist es das, wo die Arbeiter drüber geredet hatten?
Well, that doesn't look good.
Versuchen wir mit ihm nochmal hier ins Gespräch zu kommen.
Excuse me, sir. Are you in charge here?
Unfortunately. Who are you? This area isn't open to the public.
I'm Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator looking into the murder of one of your workers.
A private investigator, eh? And maybe you can help me out.
I'll do what I can, but I'll need to ask you some questions, Miss...
Mims. Sanford Mims. Go ahead, but make it snappy.
What can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland? A former employee here?
Listen, I've got a lot on my mind right now.
I understand, but it's important to my investigation that you tell me what you know about him.
I'm sure it is, but as you can see, I've got a lot to deal with right now.
Steht nur rum.
Well, he's no help. Maybe you can figure out a way to help him help us.
How long have you been the foreman here?
Sometimes I think it's been too long. Things were so much easier before we got these machines. They keep saying they're supposed to improve our lives, but they've been nothing but trouble.
Bei der Farbe seiner Schrift, also seiner Charakterfarbe sozusagen, muss ich immer an Sophia aus Fate of Atlantis denken. Ich bin immer mit ihr verbunden, diese Farbe.
I've already had 5 of my best men get mangled by some of them. And then there's these damn fools blowing things up. My hair wasn't this gray 5 years ago, you know. I swear one of these days, I'm just going to pack it all up and retire. Let someone else deal with these damn things.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
The who?
He's a serial murderer who's killed 5 men over the past 4 months.
Is that right? Never heard of him.
He may have killed one of your men. Weren't the police here asking about it?
Oh, is that what that was all about? I know they came poking around here a while back, but I was busy dealing with other things.
It's nice to see the lines of communication here are wide open.
Are you sure you can't tell me anything about Hannibal Kirk?
It's like I've told you, I've got to deal with this mess. I don't have time for your questions.
Vielleicht können wir ihm ja helfen.
What happened to your iron mill?
What's it look like? The damn thing went and got blown up.
Was it in disrepair?
Of course not. All my machinery is sound, checked and serviced regularly. This is the work of those goddamn Redites. I'm sure of it.
What makes you certain the explosion was the Redites doing?
Take a look, boy. The whole mill got taken out. Even if this had been a mechanical failure, which it wasn't, the explosion would have been contained to a single part of the machine. This couldn't have been anything other than sabotage.
Have you had problems with the Redites before?
They'd send anonymous letters, but this is the first time they've actually carried out one of their threats.
You're absolutely sure this was sabotage, then?
Yes. How many times have I got to tell you that? Listen, you said you were an investigator, right? So find out who did this to my machine. If you do, I'll help you out with whatever else you wanted to ask me about.
Looks like we haven't got much of a choice. He seems pretty upset about his machine.
Na gut,
I'll see what I can...
das kann ich schon nachvollziehen.
I'll be going.
Be careful.
Wir wollen ihn nicht stressen. Wir müssen erstmal rausfinden, wer die Maschine kaputt gemacht hat. Die
This
Gießerei.
place sure is big. I wonder if they actually make anything useful.
Ah, zum Bereich der Arbeiter.
Hey, that area is for workers only.
Aber ich sollte doch da helfen.
My apologies. Mr. Mim,
Yes,
Wir sollten doch uns umgucken.
are you sure you can't...
it's like I've told you.
I'll be...
Be careful.
Okay. Ja, ich dachte, ich gehe da jetzt einfach hin und... Scheinbar nicht. Gut. Dann nicht. Dann gucken wir einfach mal weiter. Vielleicht kann uns Abten bzw. jemand im Polizeirevier weiterhelfen. Das werde ich jetzt mal abkaspern. Gucken wir erstmal im Polizei... Ja, er ist das ja. Long time.
Chief Snelling,
Yes,
So, schaffen wir das noch? Ah, knapp.
have you got any information on the Redites?
the Redites? That ridiculous gang of troublemakers? Yes, I have some information. What's your interest in them?
A witness is refusing to speak with me unless I can figure out who sabotaged his iron mill.
I see. All I can offer is a list of names of known Redites along with their last known whereabouts. But I remind you that you only have until tomorrow afternoon before this indulgence expires, and I throw you in jail. This seems like a waste of time.
That's my decision to make.
Very well. I'll give you the list when you're ready to leave.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yeah.
Gut, wir haben die Liste.
Here
Dann
you
müsste
are.
es jetzt
This is the
piepen.
most recent list of known Redites.
So, okay.
This is a lot of names. If we're going to track down this saboteur, it might be best to retire to a more tranquil environment. Fancy a trip back to Upton's?
Okay, das machen wir gleich. Gucken wir uns gleich nochmal an. Und das machen wir bei der nächsten Folge. Bis dahin, ciao.